Iran, a country rich in history and tradition, operates under some of the most unique and strict laws found anywhere in the world. Rooted deeply in Islamic principles, these rules govern everyday life, affecting everything from what people wear to how they interact on social media. Owning a pet dog or even wearing certain types of clothing can lead to significant trouble in a society where values are strictly upheld. While these prohibitions aim to preserve the country's cultural and religious heritage, they often leave visitors puzzled and intrigued. Today, let's dive into 15 of the most surprising and strange restrictions that only exist in Iran. You might find yourself amazed by the contrasts. The unspoken rule about shoes, a fence in a step. Imagine sitting comfortably with your legs crossed, only to realize that you're unintentionally pointing your shoes at someone. While it might seem harmless, in Iran and many Islamic cultures, showing the bottom of your shoe is considered highly disrespectful. The sole is associated with dirt and impurity, so when it's directed towards someone, it sends a message of contempt, even if unintended. This isn't just a minor breach of etiquette. In more traditional or rural areas, the act of pointing your shoes at someone can escalate quickly, possibly even leading to confrontations. While city dwellers may be more forgiving, it's still wise for travelers to be cautious. A simple tip: keep your feet flat on the ground during conversations or when seated in public places. It's an easy way to avoid any misunderstandings and show respect to those around you. No dancing allowed in public, a cultural taboo. In most countries, dancing is seen as a fun, carefree way to celebrate and express yourself. However, in Iran, public dancing is strictly forbidden, viewed as an act that goes against Islamic morals. The government, especially the morality police, sees dancing, particularly in mixed-gender groups, as potentially leading to indecent behavior. To them, it's a Western influence that can negatively impact the younger generation. Although some traditional dances in rural areas may still happen, they are often done behind closed doors or in private gatherings with extreme caution. Even at weddings, a place where dancing is typically expected, there's a risk of drawing unwanted attention from authorities. Believe it or not, people have been arrested and forced to undergo drug tests because of the assumption that dancing must involve drug use. For women, the laws are even more restrictive. They are banned from dancing in front of men altogether, making the mere act of public dancing a serious offense that can result in hefty penalties. A name to remember: the Persian Gulf. For Iranians, calling the Persian Gulf anything other than its official name is a deeply sensitive issue. This body of water has played a crucial role in Iran's history and culture, making the name Persian Gulf a symbol of national pride. Referring to it as the Arabian Gulf is not just a mistake, it's seen as a political challenge to Iran's sovereignty. The issue has even sparked international incidents. Back in 2011, Iran went as far as to threaten to shoot down U.S. drones that labeled it Arabian Gulf on their systems. This controversy also extends to tech companies like Google, which has been criticized by Iran for using the wrong name on their maps. For tourists, it's important to be aware of this cultural sensitivity. Using the term Arabian Gulf could lead to fines, detainment, or questioning by local authorities. So when visiting Iran, always make sure to refer to it as the Persian Gulf. Alcohol absolutely forbidden. Since the Islamic Revolution of 1979, alcohol has been strictly banned in Iran. Islamic law, or Sharia, forbids the consumption, sale, or production of alcoholic beverages, following the teachings of the Quran, which warns against intoxication as it can lead to immoral behavior and distract from religious duties. The Iranian government takes this prohibition very seriously, with penalties ranging from heavy fines and imprisonment to public lashings for those caught breaking the law. Despite these harsh regulations, a black market for alcohol does exist, especially in larger cities like Tehran. Some wealthier citizens or those with connections manage to acquire alcohol, but it comes with significant risks. The authorities closely monitor these underground activities, and individuals caught can face severe legal repercussions, along with the potential for public humiliation. Tourists should also take note. Iran enforces these laws on everyone, locals and visitors alike. So while you may be accustomed to enjoying a drink in other parts of the world, in Iran, it's a different story altogether. Thumbs up, a gesture you should avoid. In many Western countries, the thumbs up gesture is a universal sign of approval or positivity, but in Iran, it carries a very different and offensive meaning. Essentially, it's the equivalent of giving someone the middle finger, a gesture that's bound to cause confusion, or worse, offense. While people in more cosmopolitan areas like Tehran may be used to foreign customs and forgive the occasional cultural faux pas, it's still a good idea to be cautious. In more conservative areas, a thumbs up could provoke a much stronger reaction, so it's better to avoid using it altogether. Instead, opt for a smile, nod, or verbal affirmation to avoid any unintended insults. Understanding these nuances in body language can help you navigate social situations in Iran with respect and ease. Premarital relationships strictly forbidden. In Iran, romantic relationships outside of marriage are not just frowned upon, they're illegal under the country's strict Islamic laws. Engaging in such relationships can lead to severe punishments, particularly for women, who may face imprisonment or public lashings if caught. The government's religious police closely monitor public behavior, ensuring that moral standards are upheld, and anyone violating these norms may be publicly shamed. While men can also face penalties, the enforcement of these laws is often harsher for women, reflecting societal expectations around chastity and family honor. Even living together without being married is a punishable offense, with authorities conducting raids on homes or hotels suspected of housing unmarried couples. It's a legal system where the boundaries are clear, and crossing them can lead to serious consequences. Pork completely banned. Like many Muslim-majority countries, Iran strictly forbids the consumption of pork, adhering to Islamic dietary laws that consider pork impure. The ban is comprehensive. Pork products cannot be found in any markets, restaurants, or public places. This prohibition is a point of pride for many Iranians, as it differentiates them from Western cultures where pork is commonly consumed. The rule extends beyond pork meat itself to any food products that might contain pork byproducts, making it essential for visitors to carefully inspect labels. Even foreign diplomats or expatriates living in Iran are expected to follow this rule. Publicly consuming pork is a serious offense that can result in legal repercussions, so it's important for tourists to be mindful of this cultural and religious restriction. Clothing regulations. Modesty is the law. Iran's dress code is among the strictest in the world, particularly for women, but men are also subject to certain regulations. Women are required to wear a chador or modest clothing that covers their entire body. Although some women attempt to push the limits by wearing colorful scarves or lighter fabrics, the moral police remain vigilant, ensuring that modesty standards are maintained in public. Men, too, face restrictions. Wearing shorts, tank tops, or tight-fitting clothes is not allowed in public spaces. Hairstyles deemed too Western, like ponytails or mohawks, are also forbidden. Men wearing jewelry, such as necklaces, may find themselves being stopped by authorities and asked to remove them. In some cases, violators may be forced to change their clothes or have their hair cut on the spot, and repeat offenders risk imprisonment or fines. Maintaining modesty in appearance is considered essential in Iran society, with laws strictly upholding this cultural value. Public displays of affection, strictly off-limits. In Iran, public displays of affection, PDA, are a major cultural and legal no-no, even for married couples. The conservative interpretation of Islamic law that prevails in the country views such acts as inappropriate and reflective of Western influences that they strive to avoid. Simple gestures like holding hands, hugging, or kissing in public spaces are considered indecent, and those caught engaging in PDA can face immediate arrest and prosecution. For unmarried couples, the rules are even stricter, with potential consequences ranging from public shaming to severe legal punishments. Even friendships between men and women are viewed with suspicion, and interactions between the sexes are highly regulated in public spaces, such as schools, workplaces, and social events. Visitors should always be cautious and avoid showing physical affection in public to respect local norms and avoid legal trouble. Books on sorcery and superstition, forbidden literature. Iran, being a deeply religious society, strictly bans any practices associated with sorcery, fortune-telling, astrology, or other forms of superstition. The government sees these activities as harmful to Islamic values and a threat to the country's social order. As a result, books or materials related to the occult or supernatural are banned, and possessing such literature can lead to severe penalties, including arrest. The religious police are vigilant in rooting out any trace of these forbidden practices, frequently arresting those who are believed to be involved in or promoting them. Even having books on obscure topics may raise suspicion. In Iran, these practices are seen as corruptive influences that could pull people away from Islamic teachings, and the government actively works to keep them out of the public sphere. Lefthandedness, considered impolite. In Iran, as in many Islamic cultures, the left hand is traditionally viewed as unclean, as it is often used for personal hygiene. As a result, important social interactions, such as eating, shaking hands, or offering gifts, are expected to be conducted with the right hand. Using your left hand in these situations is considered disrespectful and can lead to uncomfortable or awkward interactions. When visiting Iran, it's essential to be mindful of this cultural norm. Always use your right hand in formal settings, whether you're greeting someone, eating, or exchanging items. If possible, use both hands, supporting your right hand with your left, to show extra respect during more formal exchanges. While this may seem like a small gesture, it's an important way to demonstrate cultural awareness and respect for local customs in Iran. The LGBT community living under constant threat. In Iran, identifying as LGBT is not only socially stigmatized, but also legally punishable by extremely harsh penalties, including imprisonment and even execution. The government enforces strict Islamic laws that classify same-sex relationships as major violations of moral codes. Since the Iranian Revolution, authorities have adopted a zero-tolerance policy on LGBT rights, making it dangerous for individuals to openly express their identity. LGBT individuals live in fear, facing constant discrimination from society and the government alike. Many are forced to hide their sexual orientation or gender identity to protect themselves from physical violence, public shaming, or arrest. For those who are caught engaging in same-sex relationships, the punishment is severe and can include imprisonment, public lashings, or worse. The harsh reality is that many LGBT Iranians see fleeing the country as their only chance to live freely, away from the threat of persecution. Social media under strict control. In Iran, access to social media is heavily restricted by the government, which views platforms like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and WhatsApp as threats to national security. These sites are seen as tools for spreading anti-government sentiments and promoting Western values that conflict with the Islamic Republic's principles. As a result, most major social media platforms are blocked, preventing citizens from easily accessing or sharing information about internal political and social matters. However, many Iranians have found ways to bypass these restrictions using VPNs, virtual private networks, which allow them to access blocked websites. Interestingly, even high-ranking officials have been known to use VPNs, highlighting the complexity of this censorship. Despite this workaround, using VPNs comes with considerable risks, as the government closely monitors online activity and may punish individuals who access forbidden content. For many, the need to stay connected to the world outside Iran outweighs the risks, but the consequences can be severe if caught. Dog ownership a forbidden act. In Iran, keeping a dog as a pet is more than just a cultural taboo, it's officially banned. According to Islamic teachings, dogs are considered impure animals, and the government sees owning them as a practice rooted in Western culture, which goes against traditional Islamic values. In 2014, Iran's government formally prohibited dog ownership, citing public health concerns and the spread of Western influence as key reasons for the ban. Despite the strict law, some Iranians, particularly in larger cities, still secretly keep dogs as pets. However, they must be careful, as the moral police actively enforce this ban, often confiscating dogs found in public spaces. This law has sparked significant controversy, not only within Iran, but globally. Protests erupted after videos emerged showing the authorities killing dogs, yet the government remains firm in its stance. For many dog lovers in Iran, owning a dog comes with constant risks and the need for discretion. Strict rules for mosque visits. Mosques in Iran are revered as sacred spaces, and entering one comes with a set of strict guidelines to preserve their sanctity. Visitors, whether locals or tourists, must adhere to these rules, which include modest dress codes for both men and women. Women are required to cover their heads with a scarf and ensure that their arms and legs are fully covered. Additionally, shoes must be removed before entering, and all visitors are expected to behave respectfully within the mosque. For tourists, these regulations may feel restrictive, but they are crucial for showing respect to the local customs and religious practices. Failure to follow these rules may result in being denied entry or possibly facing reprimand from local authorities. Mosques in Iran are not just places of worship. They serve as symbols of the country's religious and cultural identity, making it essential for all visitors to approach them with reverence. A complex intersection of tradition and law. Iran's unique blend of religious law and cultural traditions shapes every aspect of daily life, from personal behavior to public norms. For outsiders, some of these rules, whether related to pet ownership, public conduct, or dress codes, may seem puzzling, but they are deeply rooted in Iran's Islamic values. Anyone visiting or studying Iran must be mindful of these customs to navigate the country respectfully and avoid unintended consequences. While some laws may appear strange to outsiders, they are a vital part of the cultural fabric of Iran, reflecting the country's complex relationship between tradition and modernity.